Is it just me, or does it feel like the world is at a shift right now? I say a shift because, as if you haven't noticed, or if you haven't heard, there is like a shortage of eggs due to, like, I guess, not blue, but bird flu, the California wildfires, this winter storm that's about to occur. And for certain states, or for some states, it's already hit those states. So this world is just like at a constant shift in places where we don't get snowstorms or winter storms. We're starting to see those more often. We live in Georgia, and we get hit with like a maybe like an ice storm or some snow, some like flurries every 10 to 12 years. I feel like those 10 to 12 years is up. It's come to it's come to hit us again, right? And it's becoming more common more often that these things happen to the South. We were just hit with a hurricane back in October, and it took everyone in Georgia by surprise. So I'm making this video to tell you, just be prepared. Be prepared for any and everything, because the way that the world is going, is shifting. You just don't know, right? Be prepared. I'm I will say be prepared, like, with your soul, right? But we're not going to get into that right now. What I'm speaking on is just being like prepared, like physically prepared, because when it came to that hurricane, it hit us so bad that now, even now in January, we still are recovering, repairing from that hurricane. Like, trees are still down, power lines are still down. People are still like out of their homes due to that hurricane back in way back in October. My family, my household, we were hit, and we were without power for 11, 12 days. 11 to 12 days. We had to travel to Atlanta to get groceries. We had to travel to Atlanta to pick up a generator. We had to, you know, it was, we were fending for ourselves at that point. So I guess what I'm doing here is just like telling you to go ahead and get your stuff ready. Because with this winter storm and the winter approaching, well, being the winter here and all these storms and stuff, you need to have the accessories to be able to survive through, say, a winter storm that takes out your power for 11, 12 days. You need to have yourself a generator. You need to have yourself plenty of fuel, of gas. I was waking up at 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning every morning for 11, 12 days straight, just to get fuel for my generator. And at that time, people were, there were already long lines. There were already people waiting in line 4 or 5 hours prior to the gas stations even opening up, because we were on curfew at that time. The stores had to be closed at, or the gas stations, at least the ones that were open, had to be closed by like 7 o'clock at night, due to the fact that at a certain time, once it got dark, you wouldn't be able to see the trees that were down. So people were crashing into the trees, and they were trying to prevent accidents from happening. So they had us on a curfew at like 7 p.m. So getting up at 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning became the norm for us to go out and get fuel and scrounge for fuel. There were times when I had to go out 30, 40 miles just to get fuel in South Carolina because nowhere in Georgia, in the area that I live, to be exact, they didn't have fuel. So there was times where I had to go out 30, 40 miles just to get fuel for my generator. So I would say prepare yourself, get yourself a generator if you can, get yourself some an abundance of extension cords, stack your refrigerators up, and power the necessities with that generator. Get battery powered lights. Get man, like a camping stove if you can, and make sure all your vehicles are fueled up and stay fueled until this passes over. Now, after that hurricane happened, be prepared because many, many people, and I went through it as well. I didn't even know this was something that was real, but hurricane fatigue took me out, took my family out. After everything was said and done, and we were trying to get everything back together, a few days after that, it was just like we were just drop dead tired. We were drop dead tired for weeks because we had to keep the kids entertained. We had to make it seem like they weren't missing a beat when it came to being at home because it was during the school year. The kids were out of school. We had no lights. You have little babies running around, not knowing what's going on, having to travel. So that took a lot out of us. It took a lot out of us. So all I'm saying is, especially for the southern states where we are not used to this, prepare yourself now. Because if you don't prepare yourself, it's going to hurt in the long run. And I'm going to leave you with this, and this is something that I always live by. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. And during that hurricane, we didn't have it. We didn't have it at all. I noticed a lot of people returning those generators once the hurricane was over. A lot of people were returning their generators like we're not going to have another one, like we're not going to have another catastrophic event. So that puts those people back into bad predicaments if we ever have that again. I know it was those generators, they were costly, but they were so hard to find when we were going through this. There were literally lines and lines wrapped around buildings trying to just get a generator. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. I hope y'all be safe. I hope y'all stay warm. And I hope that you are not affected by it. But if you are, be safe. And before you are affected by it, prepare for it. And that's all I got to say. Peace.